Shouldn't recognizing the state of Palestine be in our national interests and more weight placed instead on Israel's flagrant violations of international law and commitment to continue doing the same?
I don't think we are being anachronistic. I think we are being realistic given the circumstances in which Singapore has to operate in our part of the world.
Does the minister not consider these to be severe enough to trigger a re-evaluation of Singapore's position now?
Just made a ministerial statement, announced sanctions, announced conditional recognition. You're already jumping and asking me to re-evaluate the position.
Does the minister not agree that the prospects of having an effective Palestinian government in place, which is a precondition to Singapore recognizing the state of Palestine, is not a realistic precondition anymore? Given the statement of the Israeli Prime Minister that there will not be a Palestinian state, and one can assume that he will work overtime to make sure that does not happen. And that is separate to the signing of an expanded settlement agreement that would bisect the occupied West Bank. Secondly, does the minister not agree that with many of our major trade and defense partners like France, Australia, UK, and our ASEAN neighbors, and the overwhelming majority of the international community of nations recognizing the state of Palestine, does our foreign policy position not risk being seen as anachronistic? And in this regard, what specific principles are we upholding by not recognizing the state of Palestine forthwith? Shouldn't recognizing the state of Palestine be in our national interests and more weight placed instead on Israel's flagrant violations of international law and commitment to continue doing the same? The third question pertains to the government and the SAF's extensive military-to-military links with the State of Israel? And has the government assessed whether Singapore is relatively over-invested in the Israel-Singapore relationship? And is it not time to diversify in our national interests?
The two-state solution didn't begin yesterday. In fact, it goes back to the UN in 1947. Israel took what was on offer, ran, declared independence. The entire constellation of Arab countries said, no, it'll be one state. You had war. And it is only in 1988 that the Palestinian Liberation Organization, in its proclamation of a Palestinian state, even then only implicitly recognized Israel's right to exist and renounce terrorism. And we welcome that proclamation because these two elements, recognizing the other exists and renouncing terrorism, is important for our national interest. It's not just a foreign policy issue. It's in our national interest. The lack of an objective reality is not all due to one other party. They've got to get their own house in order. Will we allow, however, Israel therefore to have a veto? And the answer is we cannot allow them to have a veto because our consistent, long-held belief is a two-state solution. And that's why I have also caveated that our position is not if, but when. And we have also highlighted that if the situation continues to deteriorate, or if Israel takes further action to extinguish any prospect for two-state solution, then we have to reconsider our position. Actually, on the big picture, we all want the same thing. But that different countries will have different thresholds, different triggers to decide when they take certain diplomatic moves. So I don't think we are being anachronistic. I think we are being realistic given the circumstances in which Singapore has to operate in our part of the world. On defense, I have already said that yes, it is not a secret that they played a role in our early years, for which we are grateful. And they continue to have an invaluable role. But again, that does not mean that we are locked into giving them a free pass. Singapore will not allow itself to be held hostage. This is one of those times we need to make common cause. You and I may differ on the timing of recognition, but in the same way as I described our position vis-a-vis the other countries, I think we all ultimately want the same thing. We want peace. We don't want terrorism. We want mutual respect between people with complicated histories and identity. And we want to be able to do good where we can by working with as many parties, as many entities as possible. So this should be an occasion for unity amidst the difficulty.
Given the continued expansion of Israeli settlements, the Israeli government's stated policy that, quote, there will be no Palestinian state, and even their alleged targeting of peace negotiators in Qatar, does the minister not consider these to be severe enough to trigger a re-evaluation of Singapore's position now?
Mr. Speaker, I just made a ministerial statement, announced sanctions, announced conditional recognition. You're already jumping and asking me to reevaluate the position. I would say let's watch very, very carefully how things unfold in the days, weeks, and months. We believe both the Israeli state and the Palestinian state deserve to exist. We also acknowledge the historical complexities, and that's why from the river to the sea is not possible for either party. And they have to find the wisdom and the leadership to create a two-state solution where they can live in peace and security. We know that anything Singapore says or does is not going to resolve the situation on the ground in the Middle East. But for what it is worth, we will express a stand which is consistent with our own identity and values as a multiracial, multi-religious state. And we will do our best to extend humanitarian assistance as a real expression of the compassion, the collective compassion of Singaporeans. And that's why today we've reached this point of conditional recognition for Palestine. We hope and wait and will support and take efforts to hopefully make that an objective reality. And in the meantime, we have targeted sanctions to express our disapproval for further moves to make a two-state solution impossible.